What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my hands-on and first impressions video of the T-Mobile Revvl 6 5G. Now, this is one of the latest affordable devices from T-Mobile, and this phone is being sold at both the regular T-Mobile and Metro by T-Mobile as well. Now, it does feature an MSRP of $169. However, I'd imagine that most people that end up getting this phone will probably be paying a fraction of that price, as T-Mobile does tend to offer some really generous promotions on their Revvl phones. Now, before I show you a variety of different things about the T-Mobile Revvl 6 5G, let's see what all comes included here in the box. So here's the box. You can see in the front here, it does say Revvl. Then on the back of the box, some regulatory information. And then included inside is some literature. We also have a USB-C cable for charging and data transfer, and we do have a SIM card removal tool. But unfortunately, there is no USB wall adapter included in the box. Now with this phone, we're getting a very large 6.5-inch display. So this is excellent for watching video content, reading articles, really doing anything because we have such a large canvas here. Now the display itself is LCD, and it is 720p. We have a PPI of 270, and we have a 20:9 aspect ratio, so a more narrow but taller form factor here with the phone. Now I will say, it isn't necessarily the best display I've ever seen as far as viewing angles go, but considering that this is a very affordable device, I feel like we're definitely getting what we're paying for here. So overall, I feel like the display panel is as good as it should be. Now up top here, we do have a water drop notch, and we also have a thicker bottom bezel, and the front-facing camera that we're getting with this device is 5 megapixels. Now internally, with the T-Mobile Revvl 6 5G, we have 64 gigabytes of storage, along with microSD card expansion. So for a very low-end phone like this one, 64 gigs is actually pretty impressive, and that should definitely get you pretty far. But if for some reason you happen to fill up all the internal storage, and you want to offload photos and videos, for example, then it is nice having the ability to put a microSD card into the phone itself. Now, unfortunately, with this device, there is no wireless charging, but we do have a fingerprint sensor on the power button, so let's give that a try. So as you can see, very fast and responsive. Let's try that one more time. So there we go, that works really well. And in addition to the fingerprint sensor, this phone also supports face unlock. So I do appreciate that we have multiple methods here for accessing the T-Mobile Revvl 6 5G. Now, on the back of the phone, we do have a triple camera setup. We're getting a 13 megapixel main camera, a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera for portrait mode, and a 2 megapixel macro camera for close-up images. Now here's how things look on the camera app on the device. Then from here, we can go to the More tab to access the macro camera, so you can get very close up and have things be in really good detail. And then from there, you can go over to Live Focus to do portrait mode, so you get those nice blurred out backgrounds. But unfortunately, with this phone, portrait mode is limited to just the rear camera. So you can't take portrait mode photos with the front-facing camera, and as you can see here, when you are in the live focus mode, there's no option to switch to the front camera, and then from the regular photo mode, if you do flip around to the front-facing camera, live focus is not an option. You can see that it's down there, but as soon as you go to it, it flips things back to the rear camera. So that's a pretty big deal. This is one of the few smartphones that I've covered in the last year or so that doesn't even have portrait mode for the front-facing camera. And I know this is a low-end device, but I've reviewed phones that are even lower end than this one that do have portrait mode for the front camera. So I hope that's a feature that maybe they can add later on in a software update, but that is a pretty big omission there if that is a feature that you're definitely wanting to have. Now the good news though at least is that if you do want to take regular selfies, it does seem like the front camera is pretty good here. Now as I continue to use the phone more, I will be getting back to you with a variety of different photo and video samples from all the various cameras here in the full review video, so definitely stay tuned for that. Now video recording with this device does max out at 1080p with both the front and rear cameras, so keep that in mind. Just know that you're not getting any 4K video recording here with this phone. Now internally, with the TCL Revvl 6 5G, we're getting 4 gigabytes of RAM paired up with the MediaTek Dimensity 700 processor. Now, that processor is a pretty decent processor, especially for a lower-end phone like this one, and in addition to getting some pretty solid performance for a low-end device, you're also getting 5G compatibility, hence the name of this phone. Now, at this point in 2022, I do think you can get by with just 4G LTE. However, if you're going to put in the effort to buy a brand new smartphone, I would go for one with 5G because then you'll be able to use your carrier's latest and greatest network. Now with this phone, we do have a pretty large 4,500 milliamp hour internal battery. So definitely expect to get at least a full day of usage from the device. And unfortunately though, there's no NFC here with the phone. So if you do like to make mobile contactless payments using tap and pay, then unfortunately you can't do that with the T-Mobile Revvl 6 5G. Now as far as the software that we're getting, this device is running Android 12, and it's a pretty much near stock version of the software, which in my opinion is a pretty good thing. It does seem like the software is decently optimized. However, I'm not sure when, if or ever, it's going to be getting Android 13 or other newer versions of Android. If you happen to know if there's an official roadmap for updates regarding the Revvl devices, certainly let me know in the comments, but I'm not personally aware of there being any sort of commitment to future updates. But now that I've shown you a variety of different things about the T-Mobile Revvl 6 5G, let's take a closer look at the hardware. Now taking a look at the right side of the phone, we have volume up, volume down, and also the power button, which doubles as the fingerprint sensor. You can see that it is featured in an accent color of magenta. Then on the left side of the phone, we just have the slot for the micro SD card and SIM card. Then up top here with the noise canceling microphone, and then on the bottom of the device, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and we have the speaker. And then on the back of the phone, we have the T-Mobile logo and the camera module. Now overall, I actually like the materials that are used here and the overall design of the phone itself. I think this boxy look does make the phone look pretty unique. And in addition to that, this material on the back of the phone, despite it being plastic, does look really nice. I like that it's kind of a matte finish versus a glossy finish, as it doesn't pick up nearly as many fingerprints. But regardless though, I would recommend pairing up this phone with some sort of case, just so that the plastic doesn't get too scratched up, as it's certainly not nearly as durable compared to glass or metal, for example. But the T-Mobile Revvl 6 5G definitely seems like a solid successor to the last generation. I know that every year they seem to come out with new Revvl devices, and they all end up being very popular, and it certainly makes sense because we're getting a lot of different features here and at the same time a very affordable price. But most importantly, I'm really curious to know what you think about the T-Mobile Revvl 6 5G. I am also going to be putting out a comparison of this phone versus the Revvl 6 Pro 5G, so I'm really excited for that, and I'm certainly curious to know what you guys think of the differences between those two phones. But overall, this does seem like a solid, affordable, value-packed option from T-Mobile. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you already own this phone, certainly let me know. But this is Kevin here, and I will see you in the next video.